In today's video, I am going to teach you how to convert rows to columns in Excel and vice versa. We will use a pivot table for this, because it is one of the most reliable ways to reorganize data. If your goal is to reshape a table, pivot tables let you change what appears down the left side and what gets summarized across the sheet. First, click any single cell inside your data range, like cell A1. Take a moment to make sure the cell you click is truly within the dataset you want to transform. This matters because Excel needs to know which block of data you are working with. When you select a cell inside the range, Excel can automatically detect the surrounding table structure. Next, go to the Insert tab on the ribbon. You will find this near the top of Excel. Look across the ribbon for the Insert menu, since that is where Excel places tools for building new objects like charts and tables. This is the area you will use to create the pivot table that will reorganize your data for you. Then click the Pivot Table button and select from Table/Range. When you do this, Excel opens a dialog that confirms the table or range it will use. At this point, you may notice that Excel has already selected your data range based on the cell you clicked earlier. That is exactly what you want. It keeps your workflow smooth and reduces the chances of picking the wrong cells. Now in the dialog box, choose New Worksheet. This will place the pivot table on a fresh sheet, which is helpful because it keeps your original data clean and separate. After you select New Worksheet, click OK to generate the pivot table. Give Excel a moment to build it, and you should see a new pivot table layout appear on the new sheet. After the pivot table is created, look at the Pivot Table Fields pane on the right side. This pane is where you control how Excel maps your columns into the pivot table. You will see a list of your fields, including your text field and your numeric field, or other categories depending on your dataset. This is the key part of converting rows to columns, because moving fields changes where information appears. Next, check the box next to your text field to send it to rows. Once you select it, Excel will place that field in the rows area of the pivot table. This tells Excel that the unique values of your text field should appear down the left side, replacing or reshaping what you previously had in row form. If you are used to seeing repeated labels across rows, this step helps reorganize those labels into a structured list. After you set up the text field as rows, check the box next to your numeric field to send it to values. When you select the numeric field, Excel will automatically place it in the values area and summarize it, commonly using a default aggregation like sum or count, depending on the data type. This is what creates the column-like structure you are looking for, because the pivot table now displays the numeric results in the organized layout driven by your text categories. At this stage, you have effectively reshaped your data. The text values become the row categories, and the numeric field becomes the summarized output. If your original data was arranged in rows, and you want the summarized results to behave more like columns, this pivot table setup is the practical route to get there. To convert the other way, where you want to swap the logic and have text categories across instead of down, you would use the same pivot table fields pane. The core idea remains the same. The placement of your fields determines whether they appear in rows or values behavior. In the workflow you just followed, rows were controlled by the text field and values by the numeric field, which is the foundation you will reuse for the reverse layout. And that covers everything you need to know, and that is all there is to it.